Hi, and welcome to Coconut Chats, everyone. Today you've got me, Harita, and I'm interviewing a really special guest today. So, a little bit about her. Svetlana Tulasi was born to a mixed breed Russian and Indian family in Moscow, in Russia. She is a professional Kathak dancer who trained in Russia and has recently moved to Los Angeles. Her first major breakthrough on was on Russia's Got Talent in 2013, and she's now got over 16 million views on YouTube. She's also performed on So You Think You Can Dance Ukraine, Dance Plus India, and she's performed many times with renowned Kathak dancer Kumar Sharma and many other performers. If you've ever seen her dances on YouTube or Facebook, you'll know exactly how good she is. Hi, Svetlana. I can't even explain how starstruck I am to be interviewing you. I've watched your dances, and in my eyes, you're like a celebrity. Um, I did an I did an online workshop that you presented just over a year ago during COVID lockdown, um, and I've been following your performances for a few years now, and it's just absolutely amazing. So, welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you.
Me too. So let's get started. So as a half Indian, half Russian female growing up in Moscow, how did Kathak actually become a part of your life? And how old were you when you started learning, and how did you get so interested in it?
I grew up in a place where there's not a lot of South Asians. So I grew up, all of my friends, all the people around me, language, culture, everything was Russian or mainstream Western media culture. And I grew up being influenced by that mostly. And then at some point, when I was about 9 years old, my parents decided that it's a good idea to help me learn something about the Indian part of my heritage. And so they took me to this Indian cultural center by the embassy where they taught different Indian arts like tabla, Hindi language, yoga, classical dance, classical music, all of those things. And so they took me to a Kathak dance class because I don't know why, but that's what they did. And at first, I could not really connect to it as much because, you grew up watching hip hop and rock music and popular music, and then there's something so different, so new, and I couldn't really connect to it at first. And then it took a couple of ups and downs and quitting and coming back, and to a point where I met my Guruji, someone who has become my lifelong teacher, my lifelong guru, who taught me not just dance, but also things like discipline, things like prioritization, things like, believing in yourself and believing in hard work and repetition.
Mm.
So yeah, it started with a little bit of a love hate, but then eventually it grew into absolute love. And I think this dance form has grown on me, with me. I have grown so much because of it, and now this is what I do for, as my lifelong mission.
Yep. I can relate to you on a few of those points. See, I'm a Gujarati Indian who was born and brought up in New Zealand, which is also not a very Indian country, and I grew up doing Bharatanatyam, which is similar to Kathak but different, but it's got a lot of similarities. And my parents enrolled me in Bharatanatyam for very similar reasons that I think your parents enrolled you in Kathak, to learn something about your Indian culture because you're not living in India, and to just, to learn all the discipline and all of that type of stuff. So I can relate to you there. Like, I remember when I first started Bharatanatyam, I just used to think, oh, this is too hard. I don't like it. But then I carried on, and then I did it for over 10 years in the end. So yeah, I get you on that point. Um, so, a lot of people learn Kathak and classical dance forms, ballet, Bharatanatyam, etc., when they're young. And then majority of people, from what I've seen, they get older, life gets busy, and they stop learning dance because, their degree takes over their life, their job, family, etc., etc. But you're different because you basically made dance your life and your career. So at what point did you actually decide that you wanted to pursue a career in Kathak?
I think the major shift of mindset happened around 2013. That was the year when I did my first talent reality show where I performed Kathak to Bollywood songs. So it was like semi-classical. And that video, I posted on my YouTube channel and forgot about it. And then suddenly it went super viral. And I was reading the comments of what people are saying about it. And everybody was saying, this is what you should be doing, with your life. You are born to do this. You are like gifted, blah, blah, blah. And at the time, I was working as a human resources manager at a firm in Moscow, executive search, interviews, job interviews, that kind of stuff. And dance has been like a hobby for me, something I would do as an extension of who I am, as a way to express myself. And that started me thinking like, oh my God, people say that I should be doing this. Like, am I that good? Like, because I didn't know any better, And then slowly, I kind of kept fighting with myself, thinking that on one side, I want to be this smart, office worker, businesswoman. And on the other side, there's this dance part of me that is so important to me. That's why I couldn't ever give it up, no matter how busy life got, exams, school, job, whatever, boyfriend, all of those things. And so eventually, from 2013 onwards, I've kept doing those different reality shows in different countries, Russia, Ukraine, India. And every time it was the same response. People were like blown away. And I didn't even think that this was a thing, because I thought it's a very different kind of dance style. It's a very different culture. And unless you have a little bit of education about it, it will be really hard for you to really connect to the dance, because it's very meaningful in the sense that it follows the meaning of the song so precisely. But despite that, people connected to it because I guess I found out a way to make this very traditional art form more broad, more open to the broad audience. And I guess that's what started me. So it was basically the fans that made me do this.
That's so good, that it was other people that encouraged you to do it. So how was the decision to make dance into your career taken by your family and friends? And did they ever tell you to go down another, more like normal type of steady profession?
Yeah, it's a tough thing to talk about for me because I remember when I first quit my office job to pursue dance full time, because by that point, that was around 2015, I felt like I have so much faith in myself. I felt that, oh my God, people support me. I should be doing this for real, full time. So I quit my job where I was making quite a good amount of money for my age and, position and whatever the career position. But the people closest to me, they were shocked. They were like, okay, how are you going to make money now? You're an adult. So it's not just, you're not a kid anymore, and you're supposed to, support your family, and you're supposed to support yourself. So I was met with this kind of I understand why, but I was still facing that. Oh my God, are you sure about this? I don't think you should be doing this. I think you should get a normal job, blah, blah, blah. And I understand where they're coming from, because they want the best for me and for themselves eventually. But I remember the reaction, and then it took me a couple of years to kind of get to a level of more major recognition and trying to make money out of this passion turned profession. That's only when my family were like, oh, okay, she's fine. But that first moment, all I had was just faith in me and the people in the comments on the internet saying that, hey, you're all good, you're doing great, keep going, sky's the limit, blah, blah, blah. And those people kept me going.
Oh, that's so good to hear. Like, I can't, I can't imagine how hard it would be leaving, a steady office job where you've got a guaranteed income and all of that. Um, but it's so good to see a success story come out of all of that, I think. Um, so the next thing, your guru, and I've written her name down, but I am not going to try and pronounce it because I know I will get it wrong. um, so maybe you can say her name later. So your guru is also Russian, which I found really interesting because I think when I first came across you on YouTube, 4 or 5 years ago, I think I just kind of assumed an Indian person must have taught you because, it's an Indian dance form. But when I read that your guru was actually Russian, I just thought, oh my God, the Kathak scene must be really big in Russia. Um, and so do you think that learning Kathak from a Russian teacher made it any different to how it would be to learn from an Indian teacher or somebody that grew up in India? And also, like I touched on before, how common is Kathak in Russia?
Well, I do have to say that everything I am today, a lot of it I owe to my Guruji, because even though she's Russian, she's from Russia, she's a white woman, she studied in India, and it was a passion thing for her as well, because before she went to India to actually study full-time Kathak, she studied at Kathakendra University of Classical Dance, which is one of the major Kathak universities in the world. She studied there because it was her passion, because she was supposed to be an engineer, mathematician, those kind of things. And
Wow.
then she switched her career because she thought, screw that, I want to follow my heart. And so um, it's interesting that she is Russian, but the way she teaches Indian classical dance, it's very different from any other Indian kata guru that I've ever worked with. Because I've attended workshops by different Indian gurus as well, which was highly encouraged by my Guruji. But the way I think one of the reasons why I have reached where I am today is because the way she teaches, it's very different. It's very structured, very organized, a lot of repetition and learning as you repeat. So she would correct your every single mistake, every single elbow, fingertip, all of those postures, positions, angles, everything. And so that is the approach that I have not seen taught by any other Indian guru, because they would go more for the, I would say, improvisational type of teaching. So they would tell you what to do, kinda, and then you're supposed to figure it out.
Hmm.
But in the case with my Guruji, she would very precisely explain every single detail that there is, including the backstory of where this dance composition comes from. Why do we do it? Why do we do it this way? Why not the other way? Etc. 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 So you would
Hmm.
know so much about it by the time you perform it that you're like very confident and you know exactly what you're doing. So that is different, and that is the approach that really works for me, because when you don't know much about an art form and then the teacher tells you, yeah, well, this is approximately what we do, and then they just don't follow up with it. There's no quality control.
Yes.
There's just like exams, but then you're not really sure what the hell you're doing when there's exams. So that approach really helps. And yeah, I really even though Kathak is not big in Russia, I was just very lucky that my parents found my Guruji. There's like 3 people teaching Kathak in Moscow, and
Hmm.
maybe a few more in the rest of the country. And that's about it. And I was with one of them who has been teaching it from the early 2000s, which is when I started Kathak as well. So I've been one of her longest time students, I guess, because when I joined her school, I was 11, 12, I don't know. And yeah, it's been a long journey, and I'm still in touch with her. She guides me a lot with some of the things that I don't really know as deeply as she does, because she has
Hmm.
encyclopedic knowledge of absolutely everything there is about Kathak, and I go more with the intuitive approach. Like, okay, so what is a Kathak? What is a tukra? What is a paran? What is a tihai? What are those things? She would give you like a 10-page long explanation. I would give you a one phrase. Oh, tihai is a footwork that it repeats 3 times and ends on some. And she would be like, no, tihai is like this complex things structured in the following way, blah, blah, blah. So whenever I feel like my knowledge is not deep enough in theory, I would go to her and she would just, do everything she can to help. And she encouraged you to be yourself. She didn't want any of her students to be exact copy of her and not let anyone learn from anyone else, which is another great thing, because a lot of gurus in India, they don't let you learn from others. They only have to make you learn from only them.
Yes.
So be exactly their copies. So I like her approach just because, first of all, I'm Russian partly as well, but also because, just personality wise, I need that very individual approach to really grow. And she helps you, because when I started, I almost hated it. And then I grew to love it so much that I'm still doing it till this day, because I want to, and educating other people to learn it. So yeah, a great teacher means a lot. So shout out to my guru. Екатерина Юрьевна Селиверстова.
Yeah, I could never have pronounced it like that.
Indian colleagues call her Katya Ji.
Oh, nice. I know what you mean, by having a guru that really cares about their students. Like, a lot of the things you said about your guru reminded me of my Bharatanatyam guru from when I used to learn. So I stopped doing Bharatanatyam 7-8 years ago, but he would explain everything in the song, because a lot of us are Indian people living in New Zealand, so a lot of us can't actually speak the language that the Bharatanatyam songs are in, so we don't understand it. And he would explain word for word what every sentence means so that we know how to perform to it. And I feel like I ended up learning another language just because of learning dance, which is, it was such a good bonus. So I know what you mean.
That's one of the perks. I learned a lot of the Hindi that I know today because of the songs we were dancing to.
Yeah.
And not just Hindi, but even Sanskrit and whatever the prayers were,
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. So, yeah, so you were saying before that 2013 was the year that you started thinking about taking this, one step further. And that was because you performed on Ukraine's Got Talent, and that's where you got all this recognition from. So, how did that experience change your life? Like, I know you've already touched on it a little bit by saying, that's when people saw your videos on YouTube and they told you to take it more seriously. But I guess what shifted in your mind after that performance about how you could change the path of your life?
I just guess I stopped being in denial about what I should do in my life, because I've always had this idea that if you're good looking and, you're a dancer, a good dancer, that's like the easy path, just to be successful in life, just because you look a certain way and you dance well. I've always wanted to be not just what I look and how I dance, but also how smart I am, how talented I am in, the non-creative pursuits in life. So it was kind of like a battle that I was telling about earlier, is that I wanted to be perceived as a smart girl, businesswoman, career oriented, etc., but in the white collar office executive business world. And then at the point around 2013, that's when I started feeling like, oh, okay, what exactly am I trying to prove here? And to whom am I trying to prove here? Why shouldn't I just be doing what I already love, what I'm already good at, apparently? Because I didn't know if I was good at it or not until I saw millions of people say that. So I was like, oh, okay, I guess there is something to it. Let me just keep working on that. And then once I went full on into dance, that's when the life really changed, because I started touring the world. I started performing. Most of the world that I've seen is because of my dance stuff, different performances, workshops, festivals, competitions, all of those things, all of the world that I've seen, the majority is because I was invited there to perform or to teach or both. So my life has changed in a major way, because I've only had, the standard 4 weeks of vacation a year. like every office worker, and I thought that's, that's as good as it gets. And then I got to see the world because of following my passion, taking the scary, difficult path of not knowing the outcome at all. But I'm super grateful that somehow I had the courage to do this, because it's scary. Just if you think about Moscow, even though it's a very developed city in that part of the world, it's still a pretty conservative minded place. So when you are living there and you say everyone, you tell everyone, oh, hey, okay, I'm gonna be Kathak dancer for a living now, and people are like, first of all, what the hell is Kathak? Second of all, how on earth are you going to make a career out of that?
Yeah.
It's just a hobby, it's just dance, they used to say over there. Here in LA, arts are respected so much more than in Moscow, especially non-traditional, arts, like non-mainstream media popular art. So Russia is like for ballet, everything else like is non-existent, So yeah, traveling the world, teaching, performing. Now I'm here. I moved to LA because of what I do, because of the dance and the creative space that I've been working in. So this is a very, very, it's a blessing, really, to be able to do this. It's hard. It's definitely not a path for everyone who is good at something that they do, because you have to have an unbelievable amount of faith in yourself. You have to have a support system, even if it's not your direct family or closest friends or your partner. You have to have discipline just to know that it will all eventually turn out all right, even if it feels very difficult at the moment.
Yeah, that's exactly it, right? Like, things are not going to change overnight, but if you keep at it, then you'll get there. But it's so, it's so cool to see that just between 2013 and now, so 8 years, how your life has just, completely changed. It's like 8 years is actually not a very long time when you really think about it. So it's amazing to see that.
Yeah, 8 years since the moment I decided, but then 2 years less since I actually started doing it. So in 2015 is when I quit my job, went to India, tried to figure it all out. It didn't work out, but at least I knew, okay, I still want to be doing this full time. So yeah, it's been a wild 5-6 years ride, including the COVID year, which is
I know.
Story.
That's the thing. COVID impacted the arts and entertainment sector like one of the most out of everyone. So, gosh. But I guess, when I was watching your YouTube videos and reading up about you online, like there were just so many career highlights that popped up for me. But I want you to talk about, maybe your top few career highlights that have like, just left a mark in your mind forever. What were they?
Yeah, well, I would say if we go chronologically, I'll try to think that way. 2017 is when I did Russia's Got Talent. I entered the competition because my mom submitted my application for me. I didn't even want to do it. I didn't think it was make any sense, because I already did Ukraine's Got Talent. Then she was like, nope, just go for it. So I did that as a solo, moved on to the next round, and then for the semifinals, the performance with Kumar Sharma has happened, and that has been another major turning point, because from that moment on, we have been touring the world right until March 2020. So from May 2017 to March 2020, it was almost like a non-stop world tour, teaching, performing, doing TV shows, commercials, music videos, dance videos, all of that stuff, selling out like concert halls with our production on stage, that we made. It's like a dream. We've seen the world together. We've done so many beautiful things. So 2017 was that first major, okay, not the first, the second major breakthrough after the Ukraine's Got Talent. But this time not as a solo performer, but as a duo with Kumar Sharma. That partnership with him has created so many fruitful things. I just feel like it's another it's another miracle that happened, because when I first wanted to approach him, I asked my Guruji about it. I thought, oh my God, this guy, because I just saw his videos on YouTube, like you saw mine, and I was like,
Mm,
oh, he dances amazing. We would look great as a like a dance couple. And
yep.
then I showed it to my Guruji, and she said, he dances better than you. You shouldn't dance with him because you look pale in comparison. Something like that. I'm rephrasing, but because she's very strict, you know, she's Russian. She would tell you the truth as she thinks without sugarcoating. So I was like very upset by that. But then I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna prove you wrong. So I invited him to join me for that Russia's Got Talent as a choreographer, and then he joined as a duet partner, and that has been a very interesting collaboration because I think a lot of people, even today, we haven't seen each other for almost 2 years, year and a half of COVID because
Mm,
of COVID, but people still talk about that duo that we did, you know, over then because everybody saw it. It feels like it was super viral.
yep.
So that was the first major thing. So, and then together with him and Kathak Rockers, his dance team, I think all of the other major highlights were uh, related to whatever we did together, the work we did together. We have performed at World Cup opening ceremony for shooting sports in India. So that was live streamed to the whole world. It was like a huge major event, and we were the opening show, like the opening.
Wow.
Like it's almost like the Olympic Games, but like a World Cup for sports. So there was like athletes from every country in the world. This like huge stadium. We're performing there, so that was like definitely a highlight. And then we have done shows in India, in South Africa, in Canada, in Italy, in Russia, and like
Oh my God.
you name it. And yeah, so all of the time, every time we perform together, it just feels so special because it's not just about, you know, doing the same dance style and looking like, you know, well matched pair, you know,
Mm,
height, appearance, and everything, but it's also that human connection, that genuine human connection that we had from the very first moment we met at a airport in Moscow when I met him. He flew in from India for the Russia's Got Talent. That connection has, you know, it's what kept us going because we naturally felt some kind of chemistry, and then the audience could feel it because I feel like there are so many dance couples in Kathak who are amazing with their technique, you know, with their shows and etc. But chemistry is lacking. Even if it's a husband and wife or
yep.
boyfriend girlfriend, we're not even dating, but we have that chemistry that, you know, it makes you dream about maybe something of your own or think about some of the experience that this vibe reminds you of. So I feel like it's very important, and the world hasn't really seen that kind of stuff before, because usually Kathak is a very traditional art form. It's very you know, same, it's performed with the same type of energy usually, and then we would bring something very different to it. It was so, if my part would be very feminine, his part would be very masculine, and then there's this chemistry in it along with all the technique and proper, you know, everything that should be there. That was something that people haven't seen before, and I haven't seen before on stage either. So I thought, oh, okay, it's good that we have that, and it's not forced, you know, it's not
Yep.
just like we put up a show for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It's just
It's all natural.
natural extension of how it feels to dance together and with his team as well. So
Yeah. That
and
actually
then
reminds me when you were talking about, you know, the chemistry that you both naturally have for this dance. I remember, oh, I don't know how many years ago it was now, on both of your Instagram pages, you put up a prank. I think it was for April Fools.
yes.
And when I saw it, I thought, oh, I knew it. They're dating because you two dance like together amazing. And I was like, I knew it. They're dating. And then 1 or 2 days later, you were like, April Fools. And I was like, oh, what? And I was talking to some other friends that also are big fans of yours, and they were like, "Oh, we were really hoping that they're dating." And like, your prank was just so funny because so many people believed it.
So many people believed it. I feel like the whole internet thinks that we're dating because if you type my name and boyfriend,
Yeah.
Kumar Sharma would be the actual, first 10 links would be about him.
Yeah.
He's not even, we never dated. But who cares? If it makes people feel a certain way, then I'm all for it,
Yep.
It's good.
Definitely. And so you also said before that you recently moved to LA to, focus on the dancing and acting part of your career. Um, so how has this move been for your career and also for you personally? And also, so this is a few questions in one, but how was the experience of moving to LA while, COVID-19 is happening in the world?
It was a nightmare just trying to get the visa and fly through all the closed borders in the world to get here. But somehow I made it because, dream is bigger than fear. Um, yeah, the move to LA is something I've been wanting to do for a couple of years now. First time I visited here was back in 2016. That was after a major breakup in my personal life. My best friend who lives here took me, just like she flew me here because I needed some change of scenery around me just to not get into that dark place when where you get after like a serious breakup. And I saw this place and I just felt like, oh my God, this is where I belong. This is the first. It's the first time in my life that I go somewhere and I feel like this is where I belong. Not just as a tourist, nice place, sun, beaches, a nice place to visit, but as I have to be here, live here, work here, live my life and develop my career here. And so I've been visiting since then and meeting, the dance people, attending an acting school. Exploring and figuring out if this is going to work out or not. And so I've been wanting to make a move, but it's pretty hard when you have a Russian passport and you don't have a lot of connections in a different country. So I've been waiting for that opportunity, and then it came my way in the most unexpected time in March 2020 when everything shut down for COVID. I got a contract for a movie as a lead. Which was very unexpected for me because I just submitted a self-tape audition by video sometime in January 2020 when COVID was not really a threat at that point. So I just like, yeah, okay, they want me. Okay, I'll send them my audition, no problem. So I sent it, forgot about it, and then suddenly they're like, oh, okay, you're confirmed for this role. So I started working on my visa. I started gathering all the documents. In the US, they have a special visa for artists/creative people in the film industry and arts. So I got that visa and I flew in here. Everything was closed. I had to fly to another country to go get my visa because the US embassy in Moscow and everywhere in Russia was closed. So I had to fly through Turkey to Kazakhstan to get my visa and then back through Turkey to LA to get here. And then quarantine for 2 weeks and then all of those, horrible nightmare COVID related things because that was before the vaccine, right? There was no vaccine anywhere in sight at that point. It was November 2020.
Yeah.
And so this happened, and I guess I was just very lucky that this happened because this normally doesn't happen. The production delayed a couple of times because I couldn't get my visa because everything was closed. And the producer insisted that I was the right actor for this character. And the character is Captain Shreya Bala, who was the spaceship captain in this movie. It's a science fiction movie about astronauts in the future traveling to meet aliens for the first alien contact in human history officially. And then the story develops, and I'm this equivalent of Captain Kirk, but a female, Indian, badass, all the things I wanted to be, but now we're able to do them as a movie character.
Oh, that's so cool.
And yeah, so LA is definitely a perfect place for creative people. It's very competitive. It's very expensive. There are many things that are not easy at all. but I wouldn't trade it for the world. This is the first time in my life that I feel like I'm in the right place at the right time. Being of mixed South Asian background, right now is the time to shine for all people of color here. It's really everywhere in the mainstream media. Asians, Black people, South Asian people, everyone is out there in the films, television, music videos, etc., etc. So I feel like I'm in the right place, doing the right thing, the thing that I love the most: dancing, acting, performing, making people feel something through my performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Like even moving in the middle of a pandemic, you had a job to go to. You had people that were ready to wait for you on the other end. Like you hear so many horror stories where like if somebody can't travel to another country for work, they just say, oh, well, we'll just hire somebody else then. Or, you're too difficult. So we'll go, but these people waited for you. That's so good to hear. Um, yes, my next question is more on the personal front. Does having a career in dance and acting and the fact that you've moved from Russia to LA, has it made it difficult for you to think about settling down in life or getting married and starting a family? Or do you think you can balance the two together?
Well, the main reason for the difficult breakup that I had in 2016 is the dance, because basically I was put in front of a choice, whether it's the man or the everything else that I want in life, which is to dance, perform, and be the star and whatever. And so I chose dance. Um, it is definitely a challenge if you're not surrounded by the kind of crowd that understands that what you do is not just dance, but it is an actual profession that
Mm,
requires 20 years of training and performing, and it's something that you do because you can't not do it. It's not considered as a just oh, dance, like whatever. Here the crowd is different, the mindset is different. Like I mentioned earlier, people understand that performing arts is a serious profession, treat it seriously, and you can be really successful if you're really good at it, and if you develop the right kind of mindset and skill set to bring it out into the wide audiences. So it is challenging, of course, like for every woman, to balance career and anything else, career and kids, career and family time, career and family, friends, etc. It is difficult for me, but right now it's just not my priority. Having a family and building all of that, it's not my priority right now. My priority is developing my skills, reaching the next level, how I can bring my art to the wider audience. That this is why I'm here, and this is what I'm here to do. So
yeah.
I'm very, focused on that right now.
Yep. Um, so, you've performed with Kumar Sharma and his team, which I think are all men from what I remember. So from what you've observed, in the world of Kathak and the world of dance, do you think there is gender equality in the dance industry? And are male performers treated differently to the female performers in this industry? Like, is there any objectivity or subjectivity between men and women that take this up as a profession?
Well, there still is, especially in more conservative places, like in some parts of India. Kathak is still considered to be for girls, you know, and the world is very lucky to have someone like Kumar to show them that, hey, you can actually be masculine, and no one's gonna think that that you're a girl or dancing like a girl
Mm,
if you're doing Kathak. It's about the energy, really. It's about the energy. It's about how you perceive yourself. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with being a man and feeling feminine. There's lots of amazing artists who do that. But I'm just saying that you can be a straight man, masculine, and all of those, stereotypical things about it, and still be graceful and still be an amazing performer. Kathak Rockers, which is Kumar Sharma's dance company, it's a mix of boys and girls.
mhm.
And even though the style is the same dance style, it's pretty much like ballet. Is there a place for boys in ballet? there's always going to be a 50-50 kind of battle between those two. It's the same in Indian classical dance, really, because it is very graceful, and not everybody can be very graceful when they dance without losing a part of their identity. Like for me, Kathak has grown so much on me that I can't be not graceful when I need to. Like I can't do hip hop and be like this brutal masculine energy. I can't do that anymore because that grace of Kathak is ingrained in me by this point. But for men, if they want to pursue something graceful, whether it's ballet or maybe flamenco or Kathak, bring your own energy to it. If you own who you are, if you own the kind of energy that you want to share with the world, just do it. There's no limits to that. The only limits are, I guess, in your head and in what people say, the society, the direct, surrounding of yours. So one of the reasons that I moved out here as well is because people are very open-minded here when it comes to whatever you want to pursue in life. What do you look like? What do you dress like? What do you eat? What you listen to? What you dance? It's still difficult even here to be a kata dancer because it's so foreign to most people here. They've never seen anything like it. It's completely different body language compared to most other Western dance styles, including ballet, hip hop, jazz, tap, and etc. But there is definitely a place for both genders to be in any art form they choose. You just have to own who you are. And that's really hard if everybody tells you, oh, where are you dancing like a girl? You just got to know that if you know somewhere deep inside of you that this is what you love, this is what you really want to do, you got to go for it, no matter what everyone else says. I have to move to another country to do what I love.
That's not an easy move at all.
It is not.
So just to finish up here, do you have any words of advice for our listeners or any people out there who are also wanting to pursue a career in dancing or acting, or, people that are going through this like change where they might be wanting to move countries? Like, do you have any words of advice for them? Anything you've learned?
Good things take time. Great things take a lot of time. If you want to be great at anything, whether it's dance, singing, playing an instrument, whatever it is, you have to be patient. You have to have that discipline to build a skill set, because there's only this much that you can leave to your motivation and stuff. I may love what I do, but sometimes I just don't have the motivation. Like I feel lazy, for example. But you have to have the discipline. You have to know that hard work pays off always, sooner or later, but it does, especially if you constantly grow and develop your skill. If you don't just grow like this, but you grow like this, up all the way. If you learn as you go, you will eventually become great. And if you feel that your family, your friends, your partner do not support you in what you truly want to be, in what you truly want to do, that means they got to go, or you got to go. Either way, find a way to remove all of the obstacles from your way, whether it's, move to a different country or quit your job that doesn't serve you anymore. Stop talking to friends that, discourage you from being who you truly want to be. For me, that's the way. That's the reason that I'm able to live, in close proximity to Hollywood and all the arts, the best of the best. That's my words of wisdom, I guess. Just be yourself. It is a luxury to be yourself, but there are places in the world that are more open to that, that allow you at least the chance of following your true passion and being successful at it and making a living out of it. Believe in yourself, build habits that serve you long term, like habits like discipline, habits like just a routine, just a regular routine. Put in that practice time, put in that, self-help, self-development time. Put in the work. If you love what you do, Just put in the work and you will get there. I promise you. That's the way it works, you know.
Yep.
Nobody believes in you. You got to be your own cheerleader sometimes.
Yep. Exactly. Yep. That's so true. And I think very, very good words of advice. Um, so, this conversation just went on and on. Like, there's so many more questions I wish I could ask you, but, otherwise would be sitting here for hours. But thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. And, you live in Los Angeles and I live in New Zealand. So we're in two very different time zones. So thank you so much for taking the time aside to chat to me, and just, sharing bits about your life that can inspire so many people. It's just, it's so lovely to see how down to earth you are, and that just, like, you're a real human who has gone through the things that people go through. It's so nice to hear that. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to our listeners before we finish up?
I just want to say thank you for having me, for having this conversation. At times, I feel like I get asked similar questions every once in a while, but I noticed that the way I think of those questions has changed. The way I see my life, especially looking back, has changed in a good way. And change is good. People are afraid of change, afraid of the unknown. And there is a good reason for that, because it's scary. It's really risky. Just giving it all up for what only you alone believe in, which is what I did with, quitting my job, with Kumar Sharma, with moving to LA. All of those things seemed impossible at the time, but yet here I am. And so can you be if you just, really, really embrace who you are and follow your passion, follow your skill set, and work on it all the time. There's no such thing as being great as is. There's people who are great, they constantly work on their craft. And I just believe in hard work and discipline. That's the Russian part of me, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's universal, that's what you
Yeah.
need to be successful in whatever it is you do. So go for it.
Yep, that's so true. Well, thank you so much for your time today. And for all our listeners out there, if you like this episode, please leave us your feedback. You can email us at coconutchats@gmail.com. You can leave your feedback on our Facebook video, on our YouTube video, and also on our Instagram page, which is coconut.chats. If you've got any advice or any ideas for future episodes, feel free to send us a message, or if you just want to leave feedback on this episode. We always listen to our feedback, so we would love to hear what our listeners have got for us. But until next time, we will see you later. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.